Ladies and gentlemen, I have the privilege to present to you a dramatic document.
Hello, I'm Bruce Strickland, Director of the Global Leadership Academy here at Clark Atlanta University. It's my pleasure to have as our guest today a 2011 CAU graduate, Mr. Omar Muhammud. Mr. Muhammud is now a staff accounting with the Turner Broadcasting System, and it is our pleasure to have you join us today. Now, as I understand it, you were a graduate of our 5-year accounting program. Tell me a bit about.
My original major was mass media. However, I took a couple of business courses, and I realized that business was actually the heart of everything. Any field or any industry that you go into, you have to understand how the business works and understand the industry. And I took a principle of accounting course, and in that course I realized that understanding the financial aspect of the business is essential to the success of the business. And in doing so, I changed my major to accounting, and that's when I took up the 5-year program, or decided to finish up in the 5-year program.
As a person who is interested in the mass media arts industry and making a decision to focus on the business piece, how does that fit into your long-range view of what you want to do in the mass media industry career-wise?
I think that initially it was such a far-fetched idea, and I've said initially I want to own my own film company, and I think that that's how I determined that I wanted to go into more of the business aspect. It's just kind of understanding that every interaction we have from the moment we wake up, we turn on the lights, where we've created some type of business transaction. So I think that the long range idea was more so just being the owner and the owner of my own film company, and being able to actually understand the business, not just be the owner and depend on other people to read the financials to me, or to be able to explain the business to me, but for myself to be able to get into the creative side, and then also sit down and look over the financials and understand what's going on in the industry, what trends are happening within the industry. I think that was one of the biggest ideas, or the long-range idea that I had initially.
When you think back on your time here at CAU, what were the activities and services that you think helped prepare you for your entry into the work world and for securing your first position?
I think the seminar courses were definitely one of the big helps. Being able to putting together the elevator speech, being able to give presentations, just understanding PI, the aspects of professionalism, image, and exposure. I think that those aspects have been very essential in me going into the corporate environment. Just the network that I've been able to build, being able to have this conversation with you now, and prior to now, us being able to talk while on campus, and just all the advice that I was able to get from more seasoned people with it that have experience within the corporate arena, I think have been very essential to my career now.
So tell me about that first position. Did you secure that before or after graduation? How did that come through? It's
kind of funny how it happened. Actually, I was scheduled to graduate in 2010, and at that time I hadn't secured any position. And at that time I started. That's when it hit me, is that I need to secure something. I didn't have any prior experience in accounting. Although I worked throughout college with UPS, but it wasn't actually in accounting, it was in operations. So 2010 came, I hadn't had any experience in accounting, and that's when I made the decision, okay, well, let me go ahead and finish the 5-year program. Let me go ahead and do the 5-year program, because I think at that point, I was kind of ready to get out. I was a senior, I was ready to get out of school, but then reality hit is that even if I get out, what do? I could sit out for another year and try to pursue a career, and a year can pass by and I still haven't secured anything, and or I can go back, complete this master's program, and in that time try to secure an internship, use the resources on campus to build relationships with companies, and I think that's the direction I chose to take. So I went ahead and started utilizing some of the resources that we had here on campus, the Career Placement and Planning Center, the career fairs, and spoke with someone at one of the career fairs, someone from Turner Broadcasting at one of the career fairs about an internship. And at that time, in my mind, I said, well, it's just an internship, I need something secure. I need a full-time position. But realistically, that was kind of the best situation for me to be in, seeing as I didn't really have any true accounting experience at that time. So I went ahead and took that opportunity, the internship with Turner Broadcasting, which eventually turned into a full-time position.
So the internship started while you were in that fifth year. And then that.
Well, I did a lot of the interviewing process during that fifth year, and then the internship didn't actually start until I graduated. And so it started May of 2011, and then went through the summer, and they gave me the opportunity to extend it. They extended my internship about another month, and in August of 2011, they extended me a full-time offer, which I accepted, and I think that the experience that I gained from the internship, it was valuable, and that was one of the things that I wish that I could have had during college. Is that just that experience, the internship experience? I think that it gave me insight into the corporate environment. It gave me insight into the actual industry, and it gave me insight into what I would be doing on a daily basis, how after college, once I get out of college, what my life would be like on a daily basis. So even though my internship didn't come until after college, I'm a big advocate for internship. I'm a big advocate for internships.
Well, tell me about the work you performed in that internship and how it related to the full-time position as that evolved.
Okay, so as an intern, I was responsible for the accounting for CNN International. So CNN has bureaus throughout the world, as we know, and I was responsible for the Asia and Europe bureaus. So on a daily basis, or on a monthly basis, should I say, those bureaus within Asia and Europe would send their expenses here to Atlanta, with CNN being the headquarters here in Atlanta. They would send their expenses here to Atlanta. I would go through their expenses, go through their receipts, verify those expenses, and then I would do a reconciliation, a bank reconciliation. So most of those bureaus, they have 2 accounts, or they may have 2 to 4 accounts, a local checking account and a local petty cash account, as well as a USD checking account or a USD petty cash account. So what I would do is reconcile each account. So whatever the bureau spent on a monthly basis, I would kind of go through those expenses, and just as we reconcile our checking book, or I would kind of say this was our beginning balance, and throughout the month we spent this, and at the end of the month this was our ending balance. So my internship gave me the opportunity to kind of go through there and actually see these expenses, and then actually go in and wire these bureaus, reimburse these bureaus for what they spent throughout that month. As an intern, it was such a real experience. It was such, when I went in, I thought, okay, well, I'll make some copies. I'll sit with somebody and watch them do these things. But I had the opportunity to actually go in and do these things myself, and I was responsible. I guess the responsibility was more than I expected at that time. So I think that it lined up well with what I do now, because once I accepted the offer in August of 2011, what I did was pretty much the same thing. I was now responsible for those bureaus, and I was the main accountant for those bureaus. The internship gave me the opportunity to build that relationship with those bureaus, and they knew who I was, and I knew who they were. They depended on me, and I pretty much depended on them to supply the information that I needed on a monthly basis. So I think that the internship gave me true insight into what I would be doing on a daily basis.
What things stand out in your mind about the transition from school to work?
The main things that stand out in my mind is the network, just the responsibility. It's another level of responsibility. when you come to school, you're accountable for your work. You know, you're accountable for what you turn in and what you don't turn in. You're paid in your grades. You pay for the education and work. You're accountable for what you do, and other people depend on what you produce. What you produce is dependent upon from the managers to, and in my position, I have people across seas that depend on me to send funds to them. So I think that, I guess responsibility would be one of the biggest words that just popped in my head, is just the responsibility, because the responsibility and being able to hold yourself accountable. Because even though when you come to school, it's on you to turn in your work. You have the option. No one says, oh, turn in your work, get this done, or meet this deadline. However, once you're in that corporate environment, that deadline is set, and somebody else is depending on that deadline. So it's a little different, but I think that once reality hits, the responsibility is the biggest thing.
What have been some of the biggest challenges that you have faced? Things that you can share, at least.
Okay. I think the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenges for me is, was like kind of prioritizing and understanding time management. I think that's also something that I can kind of relate back to the last question too, is just time management. I mean, it becomes a big thing in the corporate arena. Time management and meeting deadlines. I think that has been one of the biggest challenges. Like I said, when you're in college or when you're in school, it's kind of at your leisure to a certain extent. You can choose to turn in your work or whatever deliverables you may have. You can choose to turn them in, but you don't have that choice. You don't have that choice in corporate America. Once the deadline is set, that it has to be met, because you have other people actually dependent on it.
Mr. Muhammad has recently accepted a position at another unit of Turner Broadcasting, a promotion to Staff Accountant 2. Tell us a bit about the experiences that you've had and the network that led to this particular progression.
So this is, like we said, one of the biggest things about networking. Initially, like when I came back into that 5th year program, that's when I started to understand the importance of creating this network and creating these relationships. So I met a young lady in human resources at Turner Broadcasting who introduced me to the internship program, gave me the opportunity to interview for the internship program. And throughout my career at Turner, throughout the internship and into my full-time employment, I've kind of kept in contact with this individual. And we've had lunch. We've been able to just keep a honest friendship, honestly. And there was a position that came available in California at Cartoon Network, and I was the first that came to her mind. She kind of went through her resumes, and I applied for it a while back. And once I came to her mind, she submitted my resume for the position, and within a month, I interviewed for the position and accepted a full-time offer as a Staff 2 accountant at Cartoon Network in Los Angeles, California. So it's imperative that you keep your relationships in. And when I say that, it's not necessarily just a check-in with somebody and, hey, how you doing? It's actually creating a genuine bond with people and relating to them. Not necessarily a superficial relationship. Is just actually creating and understanding who that individual is, and I think that's the biggest thing in creating a network.
If you could go back in time and talk to yourself as a freshman, sophomore, junior, what would be the message that you take back to you?
I would tell myself, internship. I think, I think that the biggest thing is it would probably be just building relationships. I think one of the biggest things that I think I took for granted is we had a lot of companies come to the school. We had a lot of companies come speak to the classes, and at that time, me personally, I was working with UPS, and you know, in my mind, I said, oh well, I'm working with this company, and I'm working on my degree. I'll just kind of move up throughout this company. But that's typically, I'm starting to realize that's not how it typically works. You know, so one of the things I think that I would have done is when companies came to the school, I probably would have took the opportunity to get to meet individuals from those companies and take the time to just even build that relationship, not necessarily seeking employment within their company, but just having them having them as someone in my network that I can reach out to. They may know someone at another company that I may be interested in, or they may hear about a position somewhere else that may be interesting to me.
And people move.
and people move, and people definitely move. And that's one of the things that that's kind of an experience that I have now. I've kind of built the relationships with someone who was at Turner and actually moved to another company now. And they're pretty much in a position of influence. But at the end of the day, you know, that's someone who's in my network. That's someone who I can rely on. And it's a good feeling to know that you have someone that has your best interests at hand too.
Well, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. We've been speaking with Omar Muhammud, who is Staff Accountant 1 now with the International Bureau of CANN, soon to be Staff Accountant 2 at Cartoon Network.